So we're in Clovis, California, servicing this A.O. Smith water heater. I guess powered by Takagi. I don't know if they're the same brand now. We used to set Takagi. We set Renai now, or Navian. But anyways, it's our unit. Home's 4 years old. It's never been flushed. We did take out all of this piping. So the relief valve is brass, which, so not in real bad shape. But you could see, hopefully, maybe, if you get a picture, there's a little bit of corrosion building up in there, and that's brass, which brass should flow fine. The reason why it's doing that, it was connected to the iron pipe. So you can see through there and inside the corrosion. Also on the bottom of this pipe, you can see where it's beginning to weep. That'll continue for over a period of years. No, I mean, honestly, you'll know it once that finally breaks through and either it's a joint, it'll start spraying pretty good. But as you can tell, iron pipe, you don't use this for potable water for homes. Look at that. That's what happens, and this is only 4 years old, so it keeps breaking down. And here's the other pipe nipples, just a little shorty, a little bit of scaling in it. That was connected to the relief valve. Here's the pipes that were coming out of the wall. Little worse, you can see like polyps through there. It's kind of hard to, it's like just like little, well, polyps, that's the only way I can explain it. Just little growths on the pipe, and it's hard to focus on it because my camera is wanting to focus on something further away. But all the way through, all that debris you see on the bottom, that scale buildup and the little, you can see right there at the top where something's dropping down, that's what you've got all the way through the center of the pipe. Same thing on this side, a little worse. You can see a lot of scum right there on the bottom of the pipe built up and all the way through. So your iron pipe, these were stubbed out of the wall right there. What you've got now, brass. And typically what we got is the point of connection in there is probably a transition fitting, and then inside you hopefully have the plastic pipe. Whether it's Uponor or Zernpax or Viga or something else, you'll have plastic pipe. What we like to do is we usually do 12 inches of copper, stub out copper, and then put an adapter on and make our connections to these valves. So it's probably plastic in the wall. That valve was existing, it's brass, we cleaned it out, no scaling in there, and there's a shorter nipple on that side, just so it's not sticking out of the wall too far, but there is a shorter brass nipple in there. So solid brass out of the wall to the existing valve, solid brass on the hot side, another solid brass nipple right here. Then we've got the cold connector already attached up to the cold side. It's isolated because we're doing a flush on the water heater right now, and we're partially assembled. We still need to get the relief valve in, get the hot supply line in. These are Falkland stainless steel connectors. They're full 0.725, which is almost a full 3/4 inch inside diameter. And you can tell the difference between these guys, which are the cheap ones, and these guys. If you look at them side by side, you can see the difference between these lines. Look at that, okay? That's what we use, and we love them, haven't had any trouble with them. That's a 15 inch, 3/4 by 15 inch Falcon stainless steel connector. We're gonna do the same thing over on this side, get the hot tied in. Right now, if I turned this valve on, you'd get, actually this valve is off right now, so that's fine. Cold water up to the unit. Cold water isolation is off, hot water isolation is off, so it's just recirculating. The vinegar, 3 gallons down there, is pumping through, coming out the other side. We start about 9:45, we'll finish about 10:45. We'll get this rest of this kit installed, take it apart, blow out the vinegar, turn the water back onto the home, plug everything back in, turn the gas back on, fire the unit up, and then we will be done, take another video. So still here in Clovis, California, flushing out this A.O. Smith water heater. Again, powered by Takagi, so I'm not sure if those two have merged or not, but anyways, this is the ATO 510-100, and looks like the smallest unit they make, which is fine. All your parts are sitting here. We're going to leave them out for you. I took a video of these, but I always like to leave them so you can see the kind of scale buildup and kind of damage that's happening with all the iron pipe fittings that are in there. We already went through what we've done. This is a completed installation. Hoses are still hooked up. Have about 5 more minutes left on the flush. What we've got down there, again, to duplicate the first part of the video, there's a brass nipple in there we pulled out. Both of these are iron pipe. These are what we're sticking out of the wall. Those 2 long ones right here, iron pipe, and then that went to the relief valve, little nipple there, and then the flexible supply lines, relief valve sitting here. Anyways, it's all trash. So brass coming out of the wall, you can't see it on the shutoff valve because it's a shorter nipple. Reason why is longer we get, this thing starts sticking out, and then you start hitting it with your trash cans, things like that. We don't want that. We want to keep it in tight. So there's a brass nipple in the wall. That's the existing brass valve. There's a little bit of debris. We just tapped it on the ground. It fell right out because brass flows real well. It was just from the iron pipe connected to it. Brass nipple, Falcon stainless steel connector up to the Norris flush valve kit, and then we've got the hot installed. You can see the brass nipple sticking out a little bit longer because there's no shutoff valve here. It's not required on the hot side, so that's installed. Falcon stainless steel connector up to the hot side of the Norris kit. Both the hot and the cold, you can see they're in the off position, which is horizontal to the valve, and it's still flushing right now. We did go ahead and get this relief valve installed, got it turned back. We put a dielectric union here. It's not required because we have brass and copper. Could have just tied it in, but we need a union here. So we could either use a copper union, which we don't have, or this dielectric union. What's nice about the dielectric is one side is threaded, and one side is sweat, which allows us to make a transition to the copper. And you could certainly do it with a male adapter here, copper male adapter, and then a copper union 90. We just didn't have one. So anyways, plus when you go to work on this, if you decide you need to change the unit, you can certainly break this apart, which makes it easier to get the rest of this apart. The way that it was installed before, it was soldered straight over and down. You'd cut it and then you'd have to repair it. No big deal, but anyways, that's our finished installation of the isolation valve kit. We're coming up on the end of the flush. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and pull these hoses, run some water through it, turn it back onto the home, get it fired up, collect our money, and be on our way. Any trouble, give us a holler. Any weeping of any kind, any drips, any weeping, which is just, water barely beads up and then finally drops down. Any problems with this whatsoever, give us a holler. We do note that the flow to this unit is slow. See that trickle, trickle, trickle? That means that you've got some buildup already in the unit. If I pull this real quick, just for a second, and then plug it back in, you'll see that it starts to flow, and not even picking up flow. So this should be a pretty good flow through there, and what it tells me is you've got some buildup in the heat exchanger already after 4 years of no flushing. It's starting to break down. So start flushing this thing. You can, and like I say, you want to flush this, give me a holler. I'll send you a YouTube video. Super, super, super easy. Save yourself some money. You start flushing this, once every 6 months if you want to, if you're doing it yourself. Outside of that, this installation is done. Okay, last portion of the video. I did want to fire this up and show you that it's working correctly. You got plenty of flow out here. You open this relief valve up and you can see the water coming out here. Temperature, whatever you got set inside, it feels like you're at about 115, 120. Pretty hot, so good flow out of the relief valve. Pop that off. What I did do is where I made penetrations into the wall, I went ahead and siliconed them back in. So that's the reason for this last portion of the video. Silicone all the way around the hot side, silicone all the way around the cold side, just because there's a little gap there and I want a little pest crawling in your wall. So let that dry, leave it alone, you should be good. Outside of that, this installation is done.